Kashgar was once a kingdom, but now it is subject to the Great Khan. It has villages and towns in plenty. The biggest city, and the most splendid, is Kashgar. Marco Polo, 13th century AD.
Kashgar is the center of the ancient Silk Road. It was a transportation hub connecting North, South, and Central Asia. A truly rich and diverse culture. Kashgar is comprised of a combination of Asian, Grecian, and other European cultures. The people of this unique region are made up of such a brilliant and splendid societal mix, not just a single ethnic group.
The ancient city of Kashgar is the western gateway to China at the intersection of the northern and southern Silk Road trade route. The Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region is home to 47 ethnic groups, most notably the Uyghur Muslims.
My family has been selling roasted buns from this house in the old city for so many generations I can't even count them. The craft and recipes have been handed down from my great-grandfather to his son, to my father, and then passed down to me. I will give the business to my son someday as well.
I was born in Kashgar. I always come here to paint the high platform residential area. I was completely fascinated by the classical old architecture of the houses. I could go to the countryside to paint, but I found an artist's paradise here. The old town is so peaceful. The way I see it, the old city represents the spirit of Kashgar people.
Pashmak is a traditional snack food. In the winter months, we mix together mutton oil, flour, honey, and eggs. For the summer, it is made of rice, cream, eggs, and honey. Everyone likes dragon, beer, candy, or pashmak. Children and tourists. The white color stands for good luck. So I like to cook it for everybody to wish them the best of luck.
The fabric that I'm wearing right now is the kind of fabric that we use to make our clothes. I like it because it is so unique and much different from the Han ethnic clothing style. I learned from the people of Ho Tien. I liked it ever since I saw it. This is exactly our style, our traditional style. Anything that relates to our culture, I like best of all.
The old city for Kashgar. It is like the soul of a typical Kashgar citizen. To lose our old city would be to feel like we lost our habits, or even our custom or traditions.
Kashgar is in an area that is earthquake. The city and culture of these ancient people are in danger daily.
Some areas have high rates of earthquakes, and we know they're inevitable, and they could be 50 years away, or they could be 1 year. 5 years, 2 years, 1 year before Wenchuan, I don't think anybody would have pointed to that point on the globe and said, well, that's where the next big one is going to be. But it's when, it's like the Haiti earthquake, when the dart hits the bullseye, that's when you've got the catastrophe.
Buildings in the new areas of Kashgar are able to withstand a magnitude 8 seismic event. But in the old city, there is no way it could have resisted that power, or even a magnitude 7 earthquake. If a level 7 were to happen, it would be extremely devastating.
And it's these faults through here, and these red-orange dots are magnitude 7s and 8s that have happened just since 1964. Some of them don't have a huge impact if they're in relatively remote areas, but these are the darts, and if your city's sitting right here, the concern is that eventually, one of these big dots is going to land on it. This is the problem. India, it's not a distinct landmass, but it's continuing to push at a rate of about 4 centimeters, so about 2 inches a year. It's trying to move north, and so it's hitting a immovable object. So you're building up these mountains, and that's been going on for 10 million years. So you have this big, thick, high plateau.
And the city of Kashgar is right in its path. It has a written record of over 2,000 years, an historic city that has been an important stop along the ancient Silk Road trade route, which hosted the likes of China's grand historian Zhang Qian and Marco Polo.
Merchants from West Asia brought their goods. After they crossed the Pamir Mountains, they would take time to rest in Kashgar and prepare to continue on to central China. Merchants from central China also would spend time here, relaxing and making preparations for crossing the Pamir Mountains to West Asia. So Kashgar naturally became an international market and a vitally important meeting point along the ancient Silk Road.
Between 100 and 200 years ago, the Russian Empire of Tsars battled England for this area for more than a century because they believed that the location along the Silk Road trade route was very important in world affairs. The inhabitants live by trade and handicrafts. They have very fine orchards and vineyards and flourishing estates. The soil is fruitful and productive for all the means of life. This country is the starting point from which many merchants set out to market their wares all over the world. The inhabitants have a language of their own.
The Uyghur people have a long and colorful history. In fact, 1,000 years in this old city. Though a minority population, the people are full of life, with their own expressive language and a living standard that simply includes the pursuit of a happy life. Their brightly colored clothing is so unique, as are customs like their funeral services. We need to continue to understand this rich culture more. The government knows that rebuilding and strengthening the homes and businesses of the old city is paramount to protecting the 200,000 Uyghur residents there. Nobody is forcing change on their lifestyle, and nobody wants to change it because they have lived here for over 1,000 years. Their ethnic taste in food, their individual language, and the customs they enjoy will surely be preserved as the government works to fortify and protect the old city. The old city is being well protected by the reconstruction project, so that their way of life is also preserved completely.
There is a modern city surrounding a historic quarter that is rich in the culture of the people who have inhabited this area for centuries. It is natural for the people who live here to resist change. Many don't want to be uprooted from their homes and their native way of life. However, the government recognizes the urgency to protect Kashgar, and for good reason. The dangers are real, as witnessed in nearby Sichuan province in 2008, and the government doesn't want history to be repeated.
It was hard for us to make such a decision until the day that the earthquake happened in Wenchuan. Then the government took it seriously. We believe if it happens in Kashgar, the death toll will be very large.
And that's typically what you see, is that these vulnerable cities just sit there, and eventually they get flattened. And then the countries, the world sometimes rushes in with resources and to rebuild them. But to tackle the problem before the disaster is what you really would like to see more countries doing.
Just like in this remote region of China, where the government is taking a very proactive stand, the last thing they want to experience is another Wenchuan, where more than 87,000 residents died.